Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's edition of RE413, where I take old stories self-narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Praise the Gun Gun, written by Scotscin. The noise wouldn't stop. In the hellish heat of the volcano's base, a man in a white sealed suit tromped alongside the magma river. The klaxon of the heat warning continued to blare inside his helmet, always accompanied by an annoying yellow light. Jack ignored them, pressing onward up the slope of the volcano. The warnings were just to get his attention. Like the saying went, yellow you're mellow, red you're dead. The world of surveying was a strange one, charting buildings in a ruined Ecumenopolis 1 month, in a jungle the next, and now on a lava world eternally tormented by its own molten core. The sky was pointed and angry, the horizon jagged and black. Every step he took, he felt like he was daring God to kill him, doubly so, with a heavy surveying pack on his back. He looked to his HUD. The source of the signal was close down, obviously artificial, some kind of hollowed-out cavity dug into the volcano. Climbing ever steeper hill, he saw it, a thick door. Shit. Well, that was what the pack was for. With a grunt, he hefted the equipment off his shoulders and reached inside the pack, his gloved fingers feeling around in its contents for the desired tool. Flash shelter? Nope. Emergency beacon? Gun? Nah. The day wasn't going that badly. His fingers wrapped around a long cylinder, and he pulled it out. A tank connected to a long tube ending in a handled nozzle. His custom cutter. She'd broken into the tombs of traders and tyrants. The door in front of him wouldn't stand a chance. But as he approached the door, it rather anticlimactically slid open by itself, inviting him inside. He peered into the darkness, but the room seemed to simply be a kind of airlock, hiding the rest of the discovery from him. With a shrug, he put his pack back on and walked forward into the opening. The door slid closed behind him, and white lights filled the room. A low hiss followed, and with a shocked double-take, the surveyor saw the temperature readout on his HUD drop nearly instantly, coming into level survivable by humans within seconds. His suit told him there was breathable air now as well, but he didn't fully trust the area to not vaporize his head as soon as he took off his helmet. The heavy door in front of him opened into a large room. He took a few hesitant steps forward into the darkness, until it too was joined by lights. Nowhere near as many as the airlock. The lights formed a path to the center of the room, and there lay the treasure within, bathed in a soft blue lights underneath. A giant gun. No, not a gun. The shape of a giant gun, the profile of a rifle, mangled together from actual guns, slowly rotating above the floor. Guns stacked against each other, and in some even apparently melded together. Guns from all across the galaxy. Ballistic guns, plasma guns, mags, lasers, ferros, hydros, and what he was almost sure was a flintlock pistol on the stock. The sculpture serenely rotated in place for a few moments. When it didn't shoot him out of existence, he crept forward. A small pedestal rose from the floor, and its dark surface became etched with the same blue light under the gun, spelling out an alien script. The door behind him slammed shut. He spun around to see the seal itself behind 5 more heavy doors, more than even his custom cutter could handle. He turned back to the pedestal. Fuck! His HUD translated the alien script as best it could. From the database, it showed script as one he recognized, the script of the VIOV, the comedians. Fuck! The message on the flat surface of the pedestal was simple enough. Press here. It also implied some rude things about his mother. He pressed a palm down, and almost immediately the sculpture began to speak, a booming voice that the lights accentuated by dimming and brightening with every articulation. Mortal! The sculpture declared. The gun detects you've brought tribute. Jack blinked. What? The sculpture moved, pointing its barrel right at his head. Do not question the gun. Now bring forth the tribute. What tribute? The gun detects one of its many children in your pack. Bring it to me. Jack considered the sculpture's words for a moment, and his jaw went slack. You mean the gun I have? The gun's barrel bobbed up and down a few times, as if nodding. With a sigh, Jack brought his pack down, retrieving the pistol from inside. A small plasma sidearm, meant to work anywhere rather than kill anything. The gun just blew out of Jack's hand, attaching itself to the sculpture. As if by magic, the pistol slid along the sculpture's surface, fitting itself perfectly as the part of the trigger. "Human gun," it announced. "This pleases the gun. Now be gun! The gun pointed itself at Jack and fired, and his world faded to white. He woke up face down on the slope of the volcano. With a groan, he rose to his feet and discovered he'd been transported outside the front of the entrance, which was now firmly shut. He dusted himself off and glared at the metal barrier in front of him. With a grunt, he marked the location of the site and tromped back towards the direction of his ATV. "Comedians!" he spat. "Glad they're extinct." End of story. Story number 2. Tattoo, written by NoGoodIDNames. Highland took a moment to compose herself before she entered the medical wing. Her fronds faded from agitated pink to calm blue. Her curls stilled their frantic flutter. She took a breath. This is always the hardest part of her work. They took the news in different ways. Shouting and screaming were bad. Crying was harder. It was difficult to be professional with battle-hardened warriors weeping in front of her. The worst ones tried to tear off their offending limbs, or kill themselves, rather than face the abomination that they'd become. Abomination, though it may be. Civilians who lost a limb could go without, learning to live handicapped. But this was war. Soldiers had to work at peak efficiency, and that meant the twisted marriage of flesh and metal that Highland had to work with so often. She calmed them and comforted them, but they were always changed afterwards. Their former comrades never treated them the same, and how could they? The patients themselves seemed diminished, shell-shocked, like their arms or legs had stolen their vitality when they left. Still, the recent progress in the field was definitely helping. The prosthetics were becoming more and more realistic, more indistinguishable from living them. The soldiers could pretend, almost believe, that they had not become a monster. She stroked the datasheet with her long webbed finger. This particular patient was one of the mercenaries picked up from the various neutral systems, from a fledgling race known as humans. They were rarely seen, and the doctors had never needed to make a prosthetic for such a species before. But they had done their best and assured her that it was up to par. She'd have to see for herself. She opened the door. The human was conscious, sitting up on the bed never designed for his race, secured with his own safety. His prosthetic arm was well done, so well done that Highland had to check the chart to know which was which. But it was his face she was more concerned with. His eyes, startlingly high on his head, were wide and an alien blue. His teeth were bared in a snarl. But Highland had been told that on a human, such a threat display was actually a social gesture of greeting and familiarity. "Hi," he said. Highland tried to return the expression, but drawing the teeth back felt bizarre. "Lance Corporal Simon Grant, I am Pisbakadal Highland, your caretaker, and are you aware of what has happened?" "Yep," he said cheerily. "I got my arm blown off by Miscot 8, so you guys fixed me up with a new one, but..." "Who told you?" This is bad. Patients had to be told of such a traumatic event by the trained professional. The very idea that someone had carelessly told him, then left him alone. Luckily, he seemed to be hysterical. They tended to not harm themselves until the shock wore off. "Oh, no one told me," he said, mouth still bared in a human smile. "I figured it out. If you didn't want me to know, you should have kept my tattoo." Highland flicked through her notes. "Yeah, what?" He pulled his collar down, revealing a discoloration on his pectoral. Highland leaning closer. It appeared to be a pattern, forming symbols that she could only assume were a human language. "You guys don't have tattoos?" he asked. "It's where you stab ink into your skin to make a picture. Stays there the rest of your life." Highland pulled her head back so fast that it hit the wall. Her fronds flushed a full crimson. The idea, the very idea, that someone would bring a dye into their body just to make a picture. She found her voice, but not as well as she wanted. Your arm?" "Yeah, I was thinking about that," he said. "What's the point of getting a robot arm if nobody knows it? This one looks too much like the one I had before. Anyway, you guys could just give me the bare bones on this thing. Just the metal.
Bare bones?
And I was thinking, could you get the techies to fit a weapon or something onto it? A gun would be badass, but even a switchblade would be sweet.
If you could just, excuse me, for 1 second.
Highland backed towards the door, clutching the datasheet like a shield. Sure, take your time, but think about it. He waved her off with his prosthetic, so smoothly, so easily, as if it were his regular arm and not a metal thing. She made it out of the door. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall for support and tried to make her gills settle down. Breathe! Breathe! Eventually, calm returned. She looked at the human store. Freaks me the fuck out, she muttered. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.